For the Baltimore Colts, the 1974 season began with sunshine hopes and blue sky optimism. But after 3 straight losses, it became apparent that 1974 would be a year spent not battling for a title, but a season dedicated to the development of what has become one of the youngest teams in pro football. In search of that development, General Manager Joe Thomas took over as head coach for the season's 4th game. In Foxborough, the Colts were beaten badly, but from that game on, though Baltimore was to endure a 2-12 record, the Joe Thomas coached Colts were never outclassed, were always competitive. They hung close in every game, and they kind of grew up together.
When I took over as head coach after the 3rd ball game last season, had no intentions of staying on for another season. Then my big role became to keep our football club together at that time, and it wasn't a matter how many ball games we're going to win. It was to see if we could get some maturity in our football club. After the season was over, the big decision I had to make, one of the biggest decisions I had to make naturally, was finding a head coach. As I scanned the prospects throughout the country, college or pro-wise, the name that came up most often was Ted Marshall-Broda from the Washington Redskins.
I feel that I've served my apprenticeship as far as an assistant is concerned. I've been an assistant for 14 years, and I think what I bring with me, number 1, is experience, and I think number 2 is the fact that the last 9 years have been, they've been winning years. I took the job in Baltimore for one reason only. I honestly believe that we have the talent here in Baltimore to win.
43 times John Brockington, number 42, and MacArthur Lane, number 36, tested the Colts on the ground, and all they got for their troubles was a ton of bruises and a paltry 84 yards rushing. While Baltimore's front 4 manhandled Brockington and Lane, Baltimore switched to the spring-loaded right arm of second-year quarterback Bert Jones. Next to Joe Gilliam of the Steelers, Jones has the hottest young gun in the NFL. But he is far behind Jefferson Street Joe in reading defenses, and often he just packs it up and runs for his life. Taking a page from John Unitas' playbook, Jones broke out the old flea flicker play. A pass interference call set up Baltimore nicely inside the Packer 10. From there, Jones threw to setback Bill Olds for the Colts' only touchdown of the game. Although the Packers dealt Baltimore their 2nd straight loss, 20-13, it'll be an uphill fight for Green Bay in the NFC Central unless they find some lightning in their offense. Though neither team possesses the power it once did, both showed the ability to produce an occasional big play. New York's only big play resulted when Steve Tannen blocked a Baltimore punt, which number 22 Burgess Owens juggled back into the end zone before finally recovering for the Jets' first score. Defensively, the Jets are a young, aggressive ball club, though perhaps a little too aggressive at times and mostly at the wrong time. While the Jet defenders too often worked against themselves, their offense could manage only some late 4th quarter passing by Joe Namath. Riding Namath's accurate arm, the Jets moved in for 2 final period touchdowns, one of which was a close call to number 82, David Knight. But for the New York Jets, late-game heroics weren't going to be enough, as by the 4th quarter, the Colts had the contest won. With big plays like this 54-yard kickoff return by number 84, Tim Berra, the son of New York Met manager Yogi Berra. Baltimore moved in for win number 1 of the season. Berra's sprint eventually led to a short dive by Joe Orduña for 1 Colt touchdown. But the big offensive punch was provided by number 26, Lydell Mitchell, who packed the ball an NFL record 40 times to break O.J. Simpson's mark of 39 carries. Mitchell's longest gain was only 12 yards, but over the 40 trips, he ground out 156 yards. Later, he added another Colt touchdown. With Mitchell providing the ground thrust, Bert Jones passed less, and Colt fans enjoyed it more. Bert the Rifle fired 1 touchdown pass to number 28, Cotton Spire, and kept the New York defense off balance all afternoon by using some quick feet rather than a quick release. On a quarterback draw, the former LSU star showed good balance and hustled in for a Colt 6-pointer. For the final Colt touchdown, Bert Jones pulled off a nifty keeper for 33 yards and the 5th Baltimore touchdown of the day. Baltimore won 35-20, but there will be little time for jubilation as the next Colt opponent will be the Miami Dolphins.
In the Orange Bowl, the frisky Colts kicked up their horseshoes and tried to stomp Larry Zonka into the polyturf. But it wasn't a pad-popping stick that did Zonka in, but the treacherous green carpet that refused to yield to Zonka's change of direction. Miami not only lost the ball, but Zonka for the game with a badly wrenched ankle. The Colts gained a 7-3 lead on setback Don McCauley's surprise pass to Glenn Dowdy. But
Bert Jones started strong against the Bengals, airmailing one to rookie Roger Carr for 32 yards on the Colts' first possession. But from there, and for the rest of the first half, the Colt offense just couldn't put it together. Jones began to do an impersonation of Anderson, and he had the Colts looking like the Bengals of the first half. Though Jones did not go down as hard as Anderson, he got up in much worse shape, suffering an injured shoulder on the play. But Gritty Bert gutted it out, completing the drive by handing to Lydell Mitchell, who brought the score to 17-7 Cincinnati. On the sideline, Jones tested his arm, but it proved too painful to continue. So into the game came Marty Domrase.
if you were looking for one word which would best describe the Atlanta Falcons season thus far, it would be frustration. That would do quite nicely. Last Sunday, though, the Falcon defense seemed at times to come alive, zeroing their displeasure toward the Baltimore Colts. Falcon safety Ray Brown, number 34, was a Baltimore irritation all afternoon, once aborting a Colt score with a neat end-zone theft. But the Falcon offense just couldn't keep pace with its defense, as their only six-point explosion came on a nice cutback sweep by rookie Haskell Stanback, number 24. For the rest of the afternoon, temporary success by the Atlanta offense ended beneath a host of white-clad hitmen. Even the Falcons' best efforts worked against them. Take, for example, this Bob Lee to Jim Mitchell hookup. Colt linebacker Tom McLeod, number 52, returned this Atlanta miscue for good field position, giving number 26 Lydell Mitchell a chance to grind out 17 yards of the 151 yards he would scramble for in the afternoon. A second dimension in the Baltimore ground attack were the bursts of number 38 Bill Oles. Oles scored on one short blast, while the running of quarterback Marty Domrys produced the other Baltimore touchdown. In front 17-7, and late in the game, the Colt defense clamped defeat around the neck of the stifled Falcons. A name from amid a glorious Baltimore pass arose as number 32 Mike Curtis intercepted to finish the bewildered Atlanta Falcons with a 17-7 Baltimore victory.
At times, Baltimore quarterback Marty Domrys finessed himself out of almost impossible situations against New England. Eager Colts appeared on the verge of an upset when Domrys found rookie Roger Carr with a rainbow. Unfortunately for the Colts, Carr's touchdown was voided by a holding penalty, so Baltimore knuckled down on defense. Leading the charge was number 78, John Dutton, the Colts' rapidly improving number 1 draft choice. Baltimore rebounded on Domray's arm and the sure hands of Roger Carr. The Colts narrowed the margin to 17-10 on a pretty quick hitter by Lydell Mitchell. Even with the game lost, Domrys and Carr continued to confound Chuck Fairbanks' old college defenses. The game ended with a banged-up Domrys squirting over with a last gasp touchdown, but it was too little too late as New England conquered Baltimore 27-17.
As the season wore on, Jones became more and more sure of himself. And having struggled through a learning process early in the year, by season's end, Baltimore fans got a taste of what an experienced Bert Jones can mean to the Colts. In the season's 12th week, high winds whipped through Orchard Park as the Colts faced the Buffalo Bills. In the spiral-eating winds, Bert Jones muscled holes through the gale as the Colts lost by 6 points, beginning a trend of near upsets for the Colts. The next week, against the Dolphins, Jones again threw well and very nearly generated the first big upset of his career, only to lose by 1 heartbreaking point.
Throughout the '74 season, the Miami Dolphins have labored under the sternest of pressures in their quest for an unprecedented third consecutive world championship. They have won often this year, but often unconvincingly, and last Sunday their struggle against the Colts in many ways reflected the story of their season. Bob Greasy got his teammates underway on their first possession with a no-nonsense strike to Jim Mandich, good for 20 yards. Then Greasy handed the pigskin to Cyclone Benny Malone, who, after he opened his eyes, rapped off some tough yardage. After Malone's excursion, Bob Greasy very coolly waited in his protective pocket until someone got open. And sure enough, number 81, Howard Twilley, turned up unescorted, and it was suddenly Dolphins 7, Colts nothing. And while the Colts were experiencing somewhat of a defensive breakdown, their Miami counterparts were putting it all together to make life singularly miserable for Bert Jones. The defense's biggest play, however, came when number 38, Bill Olds, fumbled directly into the always eager hands of number 40, Dick Anderson, who took it all the way back to the Colt 35-yard line. From there, Greasy tossed to Paul Warfield, who absorbed 2 very high-impact shots as the Dolphins drove to a 14-point lead. On the next series, however, the Colts commenced a comeback as Jones to number 81, Roger Carr, covered 57 yards. But the Dolphins were quick to regroup, and Bert Jones and friends were smitten by an unyielding Miami goal line defense. Not until the fourth quarter did things brighten up for the Colts, and number 30, Stan White, led the way as he picked off a greasy aerial to put the Colts in business at the Dolphin 38-yard line. One play later, number 38, Bill Olds, had the Colts 34 yards closer with a ramble to the Miami 4-yard line. From there, the Colts could manage but a third field goal, but the score was now getting very competitive at 17-9. Once again, an opponent had found hope, and as world champions, the Dolphins faced yet another inspired challenge. Bert Jones propelled his 11th hour drive primarily on the catch-and-run ability of number 26, Lydell Mitchell. 13 plays, and 5 minutes later, Bert Jones rolled right and pitched to Bill Olds to trail by just a point. But a point was all the Dolphins needed, as they did just enough to clinch victory number 10 and division title number 4.
On the regular season's last Sunday, the Colts faced the New York Jets, and the old and the new were on display. Tried and true Joe Namath against the new gun come to town, Bert Jones. Namath was brilliant, passing for 281 yards and 2 touchdowns, but Bert Jones was even better with 4 touchdown passes, 385 yards, 36 completions, 17 of them in a row, a new NFL record for a practically new starting quarterback. In Bert Jones, the talent to win is there. He is a winner. And with Jones in control of the offense and the many lessons learned during the 1974 season, the Baltimore Colts are not far from being winners again, too.
If it is true that Joe Namath was playing his final game as a Jet last Sunday, he certainly bowed out with a fine performance. For as usual, Joe Woolley was responsible for a whole lot of offense, including this 25-yard touchdown to number 83, Jerome Barkham. But Joe's Colt counterpart, Bert Jones, was no slouch either, as he pinpointed receivers all afternoon. As the second quarter began, Mr. Jones tied it up 7-all with this flip to league-leading receiver number 26, Lydell Mitchell. But then Joe and the Jets got down to business. And one heave later, Jerome Barkham was seated deep in Colt territory. From the one, John Riggins launched himself into the Colt end zone for his first of 2 scores. Following Riggins' second touchdown dive, Bert Jones threw a desperation pass that number 51, Ralph Baker, deflected, and number 22, Burgess Owens, intercepted. "30 yards later, it was Jets 28 and Colts 7, and any way you looked at it, the rout was underway. But in the third quarter, Bert Jones continued a completion string of 6 straight with a bomb to number 86, Freddie Scott, a rookie from Amherst. One pass later, and Bert was 8 for 8 with this beam splitter to Raymond Chester, which made it competitive at 28-17 Jets. Not to be outdone in this pitching duel, Joe Namath targeted a football to number 88, Rich Castor, who won a foot race to the flag to ease the pressure at 35-17. But Bert Jones' hand was hot like no one else's has ever been last Sunday, and when his 15th completion in a row went to Lydell Mitchell, the Jets' advantage was cut to 11 points. Directly after Mr. Jones threw an NFL record of 17 consecutive completions, his luck plummeted from miraculous to miserable as number 22, Burgess Owens, ballooned the Jets' lead up to 45-24. With 21 points to make up, Bert stayed exclusively in the air, and 10 passing plays later, he backed in for yet another score. And while the second-year man didn't win last Sunday, his final touchdown made it close at 45-38. And the 385 yards he amassed from 36 of 53 throws is certainly one of the brightest spots in the worst season of the 21-year history of the franchise, 12 defeats.
Within the past 2 years, Joe Thomas has used the draft to build a young Colt defensive line that is the key to the Colts' defensive talent to win. In 1973, 6'5", 260-pound Joe Ehrmann stepped off the campus of Syracuse University and into the middle of the Colt defensive line and continued to upgrade his skills as a run jammer at tackle during 1974. But this season, Ehrmann also developed the strong inside pass rush that the Colts so badly needed. Whoever plays next to Ehrmann next year will be decided at training camp, when number 65, Bill Windauer, and number 74, Steve Williams, battle for the 4th starting slot on the Colts defensive line. While a dogfight looms for a starting tackle spot, no such competition exists at defensive end. 2 players who were both named to the all-rookie team will be the starters in 1975. Number 72, Fred Cook, a second-round draft pick from southern Mississippi, brings tremendous lateral mobility and the strength to one hand a ball carrier or quarterback to one defensive end spot. The other defensive end will be last year's number 1 draft pick, giant 6'6" John Dutton from Nebraska, who played better than anyone could have predicted. Great pass rushing is 1 part technique to 5 parts desire, and a strong-willed rookie can excel as a pocket buster. Playing the run reverses the ingredients and usually takes time to learn. But not so with John Dutton. In his first year, he was already a complete player. With a highly successful draft the past 2 years, the Colts vastly upgraded their defensive line. The talent to win that new head coach Ted Marchibroda inherits is young talent with unlimited potential, particularly on defense, where only 2 players have played more than 3 seasons. One such player is the man in the middle of the Baltimore defense, Mike Curtis, number 32, whose 10th season in the NFL may well have been his best ever. Besides his usual head-hunting hitting, Curtis led the Colts in interceptions. As an individual, the rock-hard middle linebacker is the ideal peg on which to hang a defense. And in conjunction with the Colts' 2 outside men, linebacker is a Baltimore strength. Outside linebacker Tom McLeod, number 52, came in a trade from the Green Bay Packers and was especially strong at penetrating the backfield and closing off the outside. While McLeod specialized against the run and Curtis specialized in being everywhere at once, outside backer Stan White, number 53, picked his spots and made his trademark the big play. White, McLeod, and Curtis are certain starters, and backed up by Tony Bertucca, Danny Rhodes, and Dan Dickel, number 55, a trio of rookies in 74, the talent to win is there. Of the 4 starters in the secondary, only Rick Volk, number 21, has extended experience. Volk's interception total the past 2 seasons has been down, but teams tend to stay away from the only experienced member of Baltimore's defensive backfield. And Volk gets into action as a sticker, one of the hardest hitting defensive backs in the league, in addition to his ball hawking talent as a safety. On the corners in 1974 were number 31, Nelson Muncie, a sure and steady tackler, and Ray Oldham, number 25. Oldham will be moved to safety next year. And number 30, Doug Nettles, a rookie in '74, will start on the corner in 1975. At safety with Volk will be number 40, Bruce Laird. Laird is more comfortable at safety, and 1974 was his first in a new position. A running back in college, Laird is a valuable kick return man who 2 years ago won the AFC kickoff return title and placed 4th in the conference in 1974. '17th-round draft selection Tim Berra, number 84, is also a threat on kick returns and had his biggest moment of 1974 playing in Shea Stadium before his dad, New York Mets manager Yogi Berra. With a roster that contains many young players itching for action, Colts special teams are a part of Baltimore's talent to win. Tony Linhart and 10-year Colt veteran David Lee put the ball in play. Young bombers Randy Hall, Tim Rudnick, Danny Rhodes, Tony Bertucca go after it with an intensity that spreads to the whole team and makes the Colts one of the hardest hitting teams in the NFL. The talent to win comes from a talent to hit, and talent to hit stems from a hungry team that burns to be better. And for 1975, Joe Thomas turned to the offensive line. Thomas traded Baltimore's #1 pick, the first selection in the entire draft, to the Atlanta Falcons for 6-year veteran, all-pro tackle George Coons. Then, with the Falcons selection also obtained in the trade and the 3rd pick in the draft,
Ken Huff, guard, North Carolina.
number 68, Ken Huff, was considered the top offensive line prospect in college football last year. In fact, the best in several years. Add Huff and Coons to Ken Mendenhall, Dennis Nelson, Elmer Collette, David Taylor, Dan Neal, and Robert Pratt, and tight end Raymond Chester, number 87, and the talent to win is there in the Colts' offensive line. After an off season in 1973, Chester recaptured his past championship form with 37 catches, most of them tough ones in the middle, the gut catches that a great tight end must make. Backing up Chester will be John Andrews, who will return to tight end after a year at fullback. The Colt outside receiving corps is the youngest unit on the team. Glenn Dowdy, number 35, has a flair for the spectacular and can catch the long ball, as attested by his 22-yard average reception 2 years ago. Two rookies in 1974 will be the starters at wide receiver in 1975. Number 81, Roger Carr, made his selection in the first round in 1974 a good one, for he can hit the home run, averaging nearly 20 yards per catch. As a number 1 selection, Carr's strong rookie year was not a surprise. However, Freddie Scott, number 86, who came in the 7th round from Amherst College, was. A young Colt front 7 has the talent to win because they want to win and will settle for nothing less. When Colt fans watch the Baltimore backfield, they'll see a collection of versatile running backs. All can catch the ball. Number 38, Bill Olds, caught 21 passes, in addition to rushing for close to 500 yards as the Colts inside the tackles tough yardage man. Though used sparingly, Don McCauley, number 23, caught 17 passes and is the most versatile of the Colt backs, for he can catch, run, and pass. But the big man was Lydell Mitchell, number 26, who led the entire NFL in receptions with 72, including 13 in one game against the Jets, a Baltimore record. Mitchell has the hands to hang on to the tough ones, and given a little room, an innocent flare pass was a dangerous Colt weapon. For Mitchell runs with power, and one man is usually not enough to stop him. But Mitchell's instincts are those of a runner. Short pop passes got him room to run, but he was just as tough, cracking the line with over 750 yards rushing. So it is a diversified group of runners that have the talent to win, and it goes even further. The Colt runners can run, catch, or pass, and the Colt passers can run. Marty Domrey's averaged over 6.5 yards per rush in 1974. In addition, in his 6 NFL seasons, he has completed nearly 50% of his passes, and his versatility has proved valuable to the Colts. Colt hopes for the future closely parallel the fortunes of Bert Jones. Inserted as the starting quarterback in the season's 4th game, Jones showed that despite his great size, he is mobile, gaining over 7 yards a carry when forced to run. At 6'3", 205 pounds, stopping a running Bert Jones is a formidable task, and the Colts have the luxury of using this threat as part of their game plan. But the Colts are not going to win because Bert Jones can run. If the Colts are to win, it'll be because Bert Jones can throw a football as good as anyone, better than most.
I think the most important thing that came out of last season, despite the win-a-loss record, I think we have a fine unity of our football club now. When you're playing good football and getting beat week after week, and if you can still stay in there and hang in there, as we did throughout the football season, we never got blown out. This is the thing that concerned me more than anything else. So I think they have learned to work and play under pressure. I think they know the value now of hard work and what it takes to be a winner.
The Baltimore Colts have indeed learned what it takes to be a winner. 1974 was a tough, character-testing season for the team. But the players are there, most of them brought in by Joe Thomas, who has built winners before in Minnesota and in Miami. And now he and owner Robert Irsay have brought a man to mold them in Ted Marchibroda, a man with a background of winning. And as Marchibroda said, I took the job in Baltimore for one reason. I believe we have the talent to win.